Hi, I'm Doreen DiSalvo. I have stage 2A breast cancer, triple positive, and you'll figure out what yours is, so don't worry about any of that. I'm not quite sure whether they were symptoms or not in terms of what I was looking for, but 2 years before diagnosis, I started to gain weight, and I gained probably almost 20 pounds. And so I'd gone to my doctor trying to figure out what was going on, the normal thyroid thought process or diabetes or anything like that. So I had gone to my doctor and mentioned to her about it, and I'm pretty active. I work out anywhere from 5 to 6 times a week. And I don't eat bad, I don't have any of those big issues. So I'd gone to her and started talking to her about that, and of course, her response to me was that I'm just fat, and that if she had a nickel for every person that came in there and told her that they had thyroid disease, that she'd be rich. And my response back at that point was, I never mentioned thyroid, nor did I mention anything that had to do with it. I mentioned more that I was trying to figure out what was going on. Eventually, I found a doctor who's more a little bit alternative, deals with athletes. We did a bunch of blood tests, and he had mentioned to me at one point that some of my markers were coming back looking possibly like cancer, but he couldn't be sure or couldn't tell kind of what it would be or what that was like. So, of course, that's in the back of my head. I was away traveling on a work trip, taking a shower, and found a lump on my breast that was kind of shattering in terms of just the fear that went through me, not knowing what it was. So as I told you before, I started the calling of doctors and called the mammogram center trying to figure out what I needed to do. Tried to get my GYN to order the right test for me, and after multiple, maybe 5 or 6, 7 different phone calls, finally got an order for a test, which ended up being the wrong one. Had to then do a little background research, find somebody else who would actually listen to me and pay attention, and order some tests for me, which ended up being another 7 days from then. By the time that they actually did the right mammogram and ultrasound, the next day I was instantaneously for a core biopsy. And then through the core biopsy, they had found something that looked aggressive and scary. And checked my lymph nodes. At that point, I knew I had cancer and wasn't quite sure, what stage it was, how bad it was. All I knew at this point was that it wasn't in my lymph nodes, and nobody's actually telling me I had cancer. And so from that, they had started to put down on the calendar my surgeon consults, my oncologist consults, and then when they'd give me my diagnosis consult. That whole time when I wasn't moving, I kept thinking about, dying, I guess is the best way to put that. But I don't think it was front of mind yet. It was more of the not reality. There's maybe a 5% chance that it wasn't the case, or it was something that I wouldn't have to go through chemo for, or, the hope was that if this was it, I would only have to do lumpectomy radiation. So I had all of these things going through my head at that time that I tried to kind of wipe out of it.